this category, you may want to like send the kids out of the room because we're talking best gore of 2022, and we don't mean former Vice President Inconvenient Truth Save the Environment gore. We're talking like people getting torn apart, blood flying everywhere, people screaming, just a lot of graphic violence. And that's what we're here to celebrate with the best gore category. And in the best gore category, we appear to have 4 nominations. So why don't we get to it? Who would like to start off with their nomination?
We're gonna talk about all the violence in the Callisto Protocol.
Let's talk about it.
It's remarkable how many ways you can die in that game. All the different death scenes, very intricate. Many of which Greg turned into a montage because there were so many of them. Arms ripped off, decapitation. You have your head bitten in half. It's quite bloody.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is
Well, I
very
was gonna say,
gorgeous.
Greg has mentioned in other categories that like realistic gore kind of makes them squeamish, and I actually have gotten to be the same way, which is why this game actually gets my vote for best gore. It's like it's too good, it's too realistic. I can't ignore that, but I sure don't like to see it as often as Callisto Protocol wants me to see it.
Some of the
Honestly,
gore. Um,
go ahead, Donovan.
I was gonna say some of the gore too is like super unsettling because of how like nonchalant it is. Like one of the deaths, it happens. It triggers if you like miss a dodge, and like they hit you, and then your character slowly turns and like half his face is just gone. And the first time I saw that, I was like, Jesus Christ! Like it threw me off, and that doesn't usually mess with me, but that one did.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little more disassociative. Honestly, not into horror games though. To like, truth be told, like I love the Dead Space series, and that's why I was so gung ho about Callisto Protocol. But overall, things that are scary, not really my cup of tea in general. I just don't. I got too much anxiety as it is. I don't need a video game to give me more. But honestly, I was cracking up at some of these deaths and gore scenes in the Callisto Protocol because they were so over the top. What I actually found more disturbing and more gory were the environment, like corpses like melted into a wall and stuff like that. A lot of the environment has a lot of mutilation and gore surrounding it as well, and I think like that sort of stuff was hitting me harder than the actual death scenes, which I just sort of saw as like a very over the top violent version of slipping on a banana peel almost.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like the environments are definitely disturbing as well. One thing that got me, there's a scene relatively early on where your character walks into the Protocol equivalent of a meat locker. There are just corpses hanging where, and he starts like gagging and choking. I was like, oh yeah, let's power through this room. So
Yeah.
I think people mention the death scenes because those have been kind of hyped in the same way that Dead Space's deaths were hyped, right? So I feel like Glenn Schofield feels like that is a calling card or something that people really like, so we had to like go all in on that. But yeah, like definitely the environments are pretty disturbing in the gore sense as well.
Yeah, I just don't want that to be overlooked because I
Yeah.
think it's more than just the scenes; it's the overall feel
for
of the
sure.
game and the visual horror of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I played on stream this weekend, there was plenty of commentary on the overall environments with literal people on fire or egg sacs and other stuff opening and shooting things at you. Just everything felt really gross, which I think is a nod to their development team.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. But yeah, that is a good nomination right there. We have a couple more though. Sam and Morgan? I think you picked this one too. Let me double check. Really quickly. If I remember correctly. You both picked Scorn, which is a little surprising. I mean, because I've seen the artwork, it's very like Geigerist and horror, but like I heard this game wasn't like super duper fantastic, though.
It was a divisive
This
game
is-
for sure.
That's a great way of putting it. Me, Morgan, and my opinions differ on it. Morgan, please.
I mean, I think the gore is one of the things that I thought was actually really, really good about the game. You know, I think my problem with the game, I mean, it's probably just me in a way, is just I felt like the puzzles were just a little bit too obtrusive. But the gore, absolutely disgusting in the best possible way. The game is just like I've seen the gore in Callisto Protocol, and I think that for me, I don't know, there's just something a little bit more unsettling about Scorn, and I'm not quite sure if it's like perspective wise or like how strange some of the things are, and like you just can't really wrap your head around them. But yeah, it's just disgusting.
It's a lot of like self mutilation, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just to speak to the environment, if we're talking scenes and environments that are disgusting, Scorn takes it to an entirely new level. Like if Callisto Protocol is sort of over the top and gory, Scorn is observing a surgical procedure firsthand. It is sterile. You are looking at meat and viscera in a way that it's realistic, but it's also really out there and sort of alien. And so that's just the environment. But then when you deal with like some of the things that you have to do to various characters, even one of the first puzzle, you have a choice of like you have to get another arm to open up a door, and you can either get the arm and just have the arm, or you can have the little creature with you. And how you actually go about prying this creature out of its cocoon to join you is just grisly. Or, you know, maybe you don't pry it out of its cocoon and you have its arm by some other means. And then in terms of, at some point in the game, you come across a parasitic creature that just digs its hands into your gut. So whenever you look down, if anyone played Alone in the Dark back on like Xbox 360, where you'd open up your trench coat and you'd look at your inventory in your pockets, it's like that, except you've got hands dug under your rib cage, and when you look down, they come out, and you've got the items that you can switch between. And so you're like, okay, hands that are in my rib cage, what have you got for me? And they're just like, they're meaty and fleshy, and then you've got this like plumbus looking thing from Rick and Morty with like holes in it that if you don't like that, I can't remember what that phobia is called, but it's just, it is foul. It is absolutely foul.
Sounds lovely. Sounds just lovely. Oh man, it sounds like playing a Tool video. Man, did I nail it, Morgan? Did I nail it? All right.
100%, yes.
All right. All right. That might be dating myself a little bit at this point, but I'm sticking with it. Let's see. Do we I think we got one.
You have no idea how long I've been waiting to bring Inferno X up in these deliberations. This is maybe one of my favorite games all year. It's a throwback to Castlevania 2 style action platformers. But they go full throttle on violence in this game. It's about a crusader just taking on all sorts of unholy evils, and those unholy evils can be killed by you with your flail, and they will break apart the way that a creature should break apart when you hit them in the face with a flail. Like you'll see like the animated sprite, like their face mash into their skull and just blood drip out of them. And then there's just like, you want to talk about death animations? I like a death animation that leaves a little something to the imagination, and the way that every single enemy has at least one death animation in this game versus you if they kill you, and the screen goes red and the character sprites turn into black silhouettes as they finish you off, and there is just some grisly stuff in this game. Whether it's like, if you fall into a pool of acid, you see your character just like disintegrate, like the armor disintegrates first and you see their skeleton for a second, then they disintegrate fully. Or if you get hit by like there's a werewolf fight, and like at first it just like walks up and slashes you and knocks you back, and I'm like, oh, that's not so bad. And then I see that the lower torso of your body separates from the upper torso, and your spine is hanging out in between. And I'm like,
I'm watching the video you posted right now, TJ. These are just delightful.
my absolute favorite is there's a spear death where like it's these spears that shoot up from the ground up to the ceiling, and if you get killed by one, it flies through your body and out your head and carries your head up to the ceiling with your spine while your headless body just falls to the ground. It's absurd what they did with pixel art for violence in this game. And I think it's so incredibly well done. In addition to just how well the game does as an action platformer, it's easily my favorite game when it comes to Gore this year.
Excellent.
Yeah, a lot of the setups for these are like fatalities where like a monster hits you and then they move and they go into some like new animation. Some of them remind me of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Like, how many rib cages do you think you have? If you guess 72, you are correct. And it's just hilarious.
Yeah, and the monster design and killing those monsters in the game, like it goes both ways. When you kill monsters in that game, it's pretty visceral and pretty gory how they break apart or fall apart.
It's interesting. It's well animated and detailed, but it's also like kind of cartoonish to me. Like overall, for what I've played of Infernax, I haven't gotten too deep into it. Overall, I don't find the overall game as gory, though. But there are those moments of gore in those animations that you're talking about. Well, shoot, Greg, I think you have a nomination as well.
I do, but before I do that, TJ, is this game on Switch?
Game is on everything, I think, right now.
I'm gonna factor that in when I vote. Yeah, I have a nomination. Is Evil Dead. Like, there's two trains of thought on Gore, right? There's like the super hyper realistic, version, like it's Scorn, where like it's down, it's like kind of like grounded in a sense, or in like the Callisto Protocol, where like it's just hyper accurate and violent, and you hear bones breaking. And then there's the opposite spectrum, which is like completely over the top. Mortal Kombat 3, 72 rib cages flying over the place. I'm a fan of that one. And Evil Dead has that in spades. This game has a dismemberment mechanic on the enemies, so you can chop off heads, arms, not legs, but arms, and they could flail around trying to hit you. And if they are bleeding, you'll get copious amounts of blood thrown on your character. It's so much so it'll obscure your vision completely at some points if you're mowing through deadites too quickly and not taking a break to let the blood slide down your screen. The same thing with puke. You have a puke mechanic too that obscures your vision. You have people there's an enemy that tears off his head and throws it at you, and he just laughs maniacally when he does it. I love the over-the-top, unrealistic gore. I feel like as I find myself getting older, the more realistic or the more disturbing the violent is, I just get cringy. And that's not to say it's not my thing. It's not brought bad. I just don't like it. I worry about, my nephew looking at that kind of stuff, playing Callisto Protocol, But like this game is just so over the top and so Sam Raimi-ish with its like violence. It's hard not to laugh and just like be like, oh, I'm covered in blood. I'm covered in puke. I just lost both my arms and this thing is flailing toward me, still trying to attack me. And there's also some really funny, brutal finishing animations. And again, they're all over the top. When you decapitate a head, there's like 20,000 gallons of blood spraying out all over the place. And I just love them. And there's a ton of them. There's ones for every different weapon, and they're all over the top. Really out there, like so unrealistic, it's hilarious. And I really think that is the type of gore that I don't mind showing other people of my family or little ones about. Like, look how much blood's pouring out of the arm. Like, it's just Adam's family, the first Adam's family, when they chop off the arms and blood's getting all the front row. That kind of gore I love. And that game has it in spades.
Wacky, zany, pie throwing gore, basically, is what you're.
Like, I have something I want to nominate.
Oh.
And that is, I want to nominate The Vote.
You want to nominate To Vote?
Yeah. I nominate
to do the vote.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You
Well,
think I was going to
that's-
actually nominate a game after bugging everybody all the time about not last minute nominate? Nah.
Well, that was quite a twist. That's why I was shocked. I was like, what, really?
I want to
Bill?
nominate the vote. Yeah. Well, I mean, I of course, assuming we've got all the nominations out of the way.
All right, yeah, let's vote.
And it's because I'm excited. I'm excited to vote.
Okay, well, why don't you go first then?
I would love to go first because I have been studying Gore this entire deliberation as people have been giving their nominations, and I really thought coming into this that I was going to go with Callisto Protocol, but having watched and seen some of that Gore over the weekend, and Scorn just hits different. For me, it's not about what I'm comfortable with. It's more what I'm uncomfortable with. In Callisto Protocol, it's like, okay, you're doing Gore, but it doesn't make me uncomfortable. And Scorn, I'm like, okay, that's messed up. So I'm going Scorn.
All right, Sam.
Scorn. It's uncomfortable. It's disturbing.
All right. I think I'm. It's my kind of Gore. I can handle it in an amusing way. Steve.
Like you cut out there for me. I don't know if it was for everybody.
You cut out.
Yeah.
Oh, as Callisto Protocol, it handles Gore in a way that I can handle. In that it seems like whacking over the top to me, like a B movie or a sci-fi horror movie, schlockiness to it. Steve.
It's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with the Callisto Protocol.
David.
This is tough. I feel like the best Gore is a little vague. Do you like really hyper realistic disturbing, or do you like more stylized? For me, it's between Scorn and Infernax, but I definitely lean toward stylized, so I'm going to go with Infernax.
Infernax. Denny.
Yeah, I've covered both sides. I think I'm gonna switch to Scorn because I think it is the most uncomfortable that you. The Kessler Protocol, the screen goes black. It's pretty much like a fatality almost at that point. So I think I'm leaning more Scorn on that one.
All right, Donovan.
The Callisto Protocol.
Ooh, we got us a neck and neck race here. Greg Burkleton Burke.
God, I don't know. I mean, like, it's tough. But I'm gonna do, because I feel like throwing my vote away for Evil Dead. I'll do Infernax. Leaves it to the imagination. 72 rib cages. That's my type of Gore.
All right, TJ.
Infernax, so much Infernax.
All right, Morgan.
Scorn.
Scorn. All right, now let's take care of the absentee ballots here for best Gore. Let's see, where did Ozzy vote? Let me take a look. Where's that Ozzy? Ozzy has abstained from this category. Gasp. Ooh. Well, that means Asa's vote goes to Callisto Protocol. Which means we have ourselves a tie between the Callisto Protocol and Scorn. Whoa. So if you voted for Infernax, it's time for you to re-vote. Let's see who voted for it. Was it
I'll vote for Scorn.
Yeah.
all right, Scorn for David and TJ?
Oh no, I'm yeah, I'll go with Scorn for that discomfort level.
All right, and Greg?
Let's look do Callisto Protocol.
All right. Well, it looks like Scorn is the winner